I still remember the exact words she spat at me, her lips curling with contempt. "You're not real family. You'll never belong here." At the time, I wanted to disappear, to vanish from that house that suddenly felt like a prison. But she didn't just insult me. She tried to turn my lake house the place I grew up in into a $12,000 business behind my back. What she didn't know was that I had already set my plan in motion. And that day, I watched from my window as her entire scam collapsed live. If you've ever been belittled by someone who should have loved you or betrayed, in the place you felt safest, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and get ready for a story where justice isn't just served. It's perfectly orchestrated. You're about to witness the ultimate payoff. Growing up, I always felt like an outsider in my own home. My stepmom had a talent for making me invisible, for reminding me in subtle and not so subtle ways that I didn't belong. She had her favorites, her inner circle, and somehow I was never invited. But I had my sanctuary, the lake house my parents had bought before my stepmom came into the picture. It wasn't just a property, it was a place where summers smelled like sun-warmed pine, where laughter echoed across the dock, and where I felt, if only briefly, like I belonged somewhere. Then one ordinary Wednesday, everything changed. I was scrolling through emails when a peculiar one caught my eye. The subject line was sterile, almost corporate, business proposal, lake house rental. I frowned. My stepmom had been acting weirdly for weeks, calling contractors, talking about modern opportunities in vague tones. I opened the email and my blood ran cold. She wasn't just talking about a project. She was listing my lake house as a short-term rental without my consent. A quick check of the numbers made my stomach twist. She planned to make $12,000 off a property that was mine. And the kicker, she thought I'd never find out. I felt the familiar surge of anger, that visceral knot in my stomach. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of betrayal. I replayed the memory of her words echoing in my mind. "You're not real family." That phrase became a challenge, a dare I couldn't ignore. I didn't want to confront her directly. That would have been too obvious, too messy. No, this required precision. If she thought she could operate behind my back, I would show her what it meant to cross someone underestimated, someone she tried to erase. The first step was simple but powerful: the locks. While she was out, I quietly changed every lock on the lake house. Not a trace of my intrusion would be left behind. I wanted her to think the house was hers for the taking until the very moment she realized it wasn't. Next, I called the sheriff's department. I explained the situation calmly, detailing her plan and how it violated property rights and potential zoning laws. I didn't need dramatics. The law, unlike emotions, doesn't care about her charm or her excuses, it only cares about evidence. Finally, the waiting began. I positioned myself by the window, the perfect vantage point overlooking the driveway and the front porch. The air smelled like pine and water, the sunlight sparkling across the lake, mocking the tension that clenched my chest. I could feel my heart thumping, part fear, part exhilaration. Hours passed. Then I saw her car roll up, her expression confident, self-satisfied. She stepped out, clipboard in hand, muttering something about making a little extra on the side. I could practically hear the smirk in her tone. She didn't notice the new locks at first. She tried the front door, then the back. Confusion crossed her face, followed by panic. I barely breathed, watching every micro-expression. The arrogance of entitlement slipping into terror is a sight few get to witness, and it's deeply satisfying. Then came the sirens. A black and white cruiser rolled onto the property, lights flashing but not blaring, maintaining the calm authority that contrasts sharply with human panic. She froze. The clipboard dropped. A deputy approached, explaining that there had been a report of attempted fraud and unauthorized use of property. I stayed hidden, peering through the blinds, my chest tight, adrenaline electric in my veins. Her reaction was instantaneous. Tears, screams, bargaining. I didn't wait. I can explain. This is all a misunderstanding. The phrases tumbled out in a frantic rush, but there was no misunderstanding. Her scam, carefully planned, meticulously disguised, was now collapsing before her eyes, and I had front row seats. I watched as she argued, but the law was clear. The deputies stayed calm, reading her the rights she had clearly violated, guiding her toward accountability she had so blatantly ignored. I could feel a strange mix of emotions rising inside me: vindication, relief, even a little sadness. She wasn't just my stepmom, she was a human being, flawed and impulsive. But I wasn't powerless anymore. As she was escorted off the property, the clipboard abandoned, the entire plan dissolved. $12,000 gone, reputation shattered, her confidence crushed. I finally felt the weight lift from my shoulders. In the aftermath, I walked through the lake house, touching the sun-warmed railings, inhaling the familiar scent of pine and water. Everything felt right again. It wasn't just about the money or the property. It was about reclaiming a space that belonged to me, asserting my worth in the quietest, most decisive way possible. What I realized in that moment is subtle but important. Revenge isn't about cruelty, it's about justice, about restoring balance. The satisfaction didn't come from her suffering alone, but from seeing truth and accountability prevail. The universe has a way of rewarding patience, planning, and precision. And for anyone who has ever felt powerless in their own life, belittled, underestimated, ignored, there is a lesson here. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, and observant. And when you act at the right moment, the results speak for themselves. She never spoke to me the same way again. Her smirk, once a constant thorn in my side, disappeared. The lake house was safe and touched just as I had left it. Every visit after that carried a subtle thrill, the knowledge that I had outmaneuvered her without confrontation, without anger overtaking strategy. Her attempts to redefine my sense of family, to diminish my place in my own life, were utterly undone. And I felt peace, not vengeance for the sake of hate, but vindication for the sake of fairness. Life will sometimes place people in our path who doubt us, belittle us, or try to take what's ours. The true power lies not in reacting immediately, but in observing, planning, and reclaiming your space. Justice, when carefully executed, is not loud, it's profound. Have you ever been betrayed by someone who should have loved you? Comment below and share your story. There's something powerful about witnessing justice in action.